So, good morning. Welcome to Tuesday Morning Yoga on the 1st of December, 2022. I'm going to mute my participants here. Yeah, you can come get the cats. Yeah, we're going to be joined for yoga by Luchi and Haruki, my cats today. All right, so roll out your mat, find a comfy seat. My husband's just going to walk through and retrieve the cats. Yeah, herding cats. Okay, so lie down on your mat. Spread out. Take as much room as you like. Your arms and legs can be out to the sides, or you can be nice and long, like a noodle. No matter how you choose to position yourself, you can just gently lift your hips just a fraction of an inch off the mat and then settle them back down to help make room for your lower back. If your lower back is still feeling touchy after that, you could consider planting your feet on the mat wider than hip width apart and then allowing your knees to relax in toward each other, support each other, just a restorative version of our resting pose. He's on the bed. Okay. So you've come to your mat and it's time for you to make time for yourself. So let your gaze get soft, close your eyes, and take a few really big breaths. Just let it go. Sigh it out. Take a couple more big breaths. Big breaths can be like nature's reset button. Sometimes we all need to be unplugged for at least 10 seconds and then plug back in before we work properly. And this is a way that you can definitely hit that reset button. It's just by tuning into your breath and paying more attention to what's going on with your breathing. So you can now turn your attention to how your body is feeling. Keep taking those big, deep breaths, but slightly shift the attention. And just notice areas of your body today that might be feeling really good and open, energetic, and other areas that might be feeling a little tight or conservative. But you're not judging, you're just observing. Not thinking, oh no, or ooh, just observe what's going on. And then you can bring your attention back to your breath again. And oh, we do have, my mom is coming into the meeting. Sorry about that, everyone. Just trying to get everyone set up here. So once you've, okay, hi mom. I've started the class, okay? So I can't see you, but I'll just ask you to mute your sound and you can get on your mat and lie on your back, okay? Okay, great. Okay. I think we're good then. All right, so everyone's on their mat, taking some big breaths, clearing your mind. You've noticed how your body is feeling. Now I want you to give yourself the mental space that you need to practice. So stop worrying about what you have to do later today. Stop worrying about what happened yesterday. Don't make plans. Don't think about it. Just breathe, let it go. Allow your mind to notice that your mind is wandering, but then gently try and harness it back toward this space, this time on your mat. So again, just noticing how the body's feeling. And you could take some little movements. Maybe you want to wiggle fingers and toes. Perhaps do some circles with the wrists and the ankles. You could extend and bend knees and arms. Push your shoulder blades down away from your ears. Let your belly be soft and just let that breath flow. And perhaps gently rock your hips on your mat. It's a very small motion, just slight rocking motion. And then begin to cultivate your practice breath. So in through the nose to the count of 4. Hold for a moment at the top. Exhale through the nose to the count of 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Try and find the rhythm that works for you. It could be faster or slower than the pace that I set for myself. But just find what works in your body. And if you like, you can try and make that hissing sound in the back of your throat as you exhale. Ujjayi breath. If you're not used to it, don't worry about it. But if that's something that you're used to doing, definitely cultivate that. I find that purposely breathing that way for maybe 8 or 10 repetitions, your mind just sort of automatically falls into it. After that, you don't have to think about it after that. And once you've tuned into that practice breath, you can bring all of your awareness back to your body. We're going to start by taking a long stretch overhead. So arms get long, legs get long, wiggle fingers and toes, get as long as you can. And then you're going to go the opposite direction. You're going to hug your knees toward your torso, bring the right knee toward the right armpit, the left knee toward the left armpit. And if you can, pick your head up and attempt to squeeze it up toward your knees. So you're coming at a tiny little ball shape with a little acorn. Hug it in nice and tight. And then you can relax your head back on the mat, but just keep a hold of your knees. Keep hugging your knees toward your torso. You can rock back and forth on the lower back just a little bit. Just a little hello back massage. And then I'd like you to release your left leg so that it goes long on your mat. You're going to keep your right knee hugged into your torso. So pull that right knee out toward the right side of your body. So you're opening that hip. Use the right hand to encourage that hip to open, but not forcing it. Just use the weight of your hand passively. Just encouraging a little bit of opening there. And then with your hand on your knee, you can encourage your leg to take circles so that you're circling into the hip joint. Going in whichever direction you prefer first. Nice and slow. And then reverse the motion. and hug that right knee in, and then we'll change it up. So let the right leg go long on the mat. Hug the left knee toward your torso. Pull it in the direction of your left armpit. Again, use the weight of your left hand on your knee to passively provide a little traction to open that hip joint. And then with your hand on your knee, begin to take circles with that knee. So you're circling into the hip joint, going in the direction that feels right to you first. And then reverse. Just take it nice and slow here. And then hug your left knee back toward the left armpit. And again, you can let that left leg go long on the mat. You can bring your right arm up overhead, roll over gently onto your right side, and then pushing onto your left hand, push yourself to come up to a seated position. So we can begin our practice either with legs crossed in easy pose, or you might prefer to just have your legs extended out in front of you. Totally up to you. So we'll start, no matter which variation we're in, start by sitting up nice and tall, right from the base of the spine. Chest is broad, shoulders are down. Hands can just relax on the floor beside you or on your legs. Drop your chin to your chest. And slowly begin to take neck circles, going in whichever direction pleases you first. Really moving slowly here, noticing any areas that you might just want to stop for a second and give them a little attention, a little extra attention. You hear some snap, crackle, and pop going on. That's quite normal. But also, we just want to take it slow so that we don't risk overdoing it. And when it's feeling right on one side, you can reverse the motion. Again, taking it nice and slow, pausing anywhere where you feel like you might need a little extra time to work it out. And you can drop your chin down to your chest again. Bring your head up through center and then gently look up, just noticing the range of motion that works for you. Not very many of us can look straight up at the ceiling, so your gaze is probably maybe a little beyond 50 degrees looking up. Just notice that range of motion. And we'll bring the head back to center. You can bring your right hand down onto the mat. Walk your fingertips out to the side. Arch the left arm up and over, coming into a side bend. Breathe into the left side of your rib cage. Make those breaths really big. You're opening the left side of your chest. Feel the ribs expand and contract. And you can come back upright. This time the left hand will come down to the mat. Walk the fingers out to the side. Right arm goes up and overhead. Again, big breaths, allowing the ribs to expand and contract, really opening the chest. And release. We'll take a spinal twist. So if you're in a cross-legged position, you can bring your left hand to your right knee, your right hand behind, and twist from there. If your legs are extended in front of you, I want you to bend your right leg. Plant your foot beside your left knee. Take a hold of the right knee with your left hand. And then the right hand again goes behind you. Think about sitting up really tall and then twist to the right. No matter which version you're in, let your head and neck relax. Keep the twist coming right from the base of your spine. And with each exhale, try and relax into it a little bit more. And release. Again, so if you're in cross-legged pose, bring the right hand to the left knee, left hand behind. If your legs are long, plant the left foot beside the right knee, bring the right hand onto the left knee, left hand behind. Get tall, twist toward the left. Relax into it. Check in with your head and neck. Make sure that you're not forcing the twist. The twist should originate from the bottom of the spine rather than trying to pull it with the top of the spine. And release. Bring the legs out in front of us. Even if you had your legs crossed, just bring them straight in front of you. Bring your hands down beside you on the mat. Gently walk your fingertips forward. Just coming into a very gentle forward fold. Do keep the toes actively peeling back toward you, but don't worry about trying to get particularly low in this. This is just a way for us to say hello to our hamstrings. So just keep the toes actively peeling back. Torso, neck, and head can all relax. And you can walk the hands back. I want you to put your weight back on your tailbone. You can keep your hands out at your side. Put the weight back on the tailbone. Lift the shins so that they're parallel to the floor, coming into boat pose. If you're feeling steady in your boat, could try lifting your arms, extending the fingers powerfully in front of you. I like to keep my feet flexed in boat, but you can point the toes as well. The important part is that you're engaging your abdominal core, breathing beautifully and big. Chest is broad. Try and keep that balance. One more breath. And release. So hands can come down if they were anywhere else. Feet come down. Again, we'll extend the legs in front of us. This time, we're going to open the legs. So you're making a nice big V shape. Again, the toes are really actively peeling back toward your body. Hands can come to the insides of your knees and gently walk your hands forward. Again, you're not coming into a super deep bend here. You're just waking up your hamstrings and hip flexors. Make it really relaxed and gentle. Just keep the effort in peeling the toes back toward your knees. And on an exhale, you can walk your hands back. Bring the legs back together. Hands can come out to the side. Again, we're going to rock back onto the tailbone. Lift the shins to be parallel to the ground. Can stay here, or if you like, lift the arms, powerful fingers. Feet are really activated, peeling back toward your knees. Engage the abdomen. Breathe. If you shake, that is fine. Shaking is good. Shaking means that you're building muscle memory. One more big breath. And exhale. Feet can come down, hands can come down, and we'll come around onto our knees. So coming onto hands and knees in a tabletop position, your knees will be directly below your hips. Your hands will be directly below your shoulders. And we'll start with our cat and cow. So for cow, lower your belly, raise your hips, and look forward and maybe slightly up, but not so worried about the up as just looking forward, getting that neck long. Exhale, reverse the motion. Push up between the shoulder blades, drop the hips and head. Inhale, belly comes down, hips come up and head comes up, or at least forward. Exhale, coming back through to cat, pushing up between the shoulder blades. Inhale for cow. Exhale for cat. Take 3 more rounds with your own breath. You can slow it down. You can add a little bit of wiggle to it. Just do what feels good in your body. If that includes a little bit of freestyling, awesome. And when you come to the end of your 3rd round of cat and cow, we'll turn our toes under before we go anywhere into downward facing dog. Here, I'll just remind you about the variation, the modification for downward facing dog. So toes turn under, set your hands about 12 centimeters of where they would normally be, maybe even a little bit more. And then let your chest sink toward the ground. This is your modification for downward facing dog. Let the head relax. If you prefer to actually come into downward facing dog, you can just push up from your table, hips go up and back. When you first come into it, make sure that you pedal your legs out, give your hamstrings a chance to warm up a little. No matter which version you're in, we're going to come onto our feet at the top of the mat. So you can walk your feet slowly toward the top of the mat, coming up off of the knees and coming to stand. So just check that you're standing up nice and tall. Feet are narrow hip width apart. Abdomen is engaged. Shoulders are broad. Arms are hanging by the sides. Head is looking ever so slightly up. Inhale, breathe the arms up overhead. Palms come to touch. You can look up toward them if you like. Exhale, swan dive forward, leaving generous bend in the knees. Fingertips can come down to the mat and then bring them onto the shins. Come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Hands plant on the mat. Lots of bend in the knees here. Step both feet to the back of the mat and then lower onto your knees. You can uncurl your toes. So you're coming into that diagonal push-up position. Take an inhale. On your exhale, squeeze your elbows in and lower yourself as slowly as you can. Good. Coming all the way down onto the belly. Forehead comes down on the mat. Hands are directly underneath the shoulders. Inhale, chest, neck, and head all come up for cobra, lifting from the lower back. Exhale, Forehead comes down. Let's take a couple more of those. Inhale, breathe the chest, neck, and head up. Exhale, release them down. One more time. Inhale, head comes up. Levitate your fingers off the mat. Exhale, head comes down. Turn your toes under and push up onto the hands and knees again. So if you're taking a downward dog modification, you can open your chest toward the ground. If you're coming up into standing downward facing dog, come up onto your feet. Again, maybe pedal it out. No matter where you are, really focus on opening your chest toward the ground. And then we're going to come up to stand. So we'll all meet up at the top of the mat. Coming up to stand, rolling up, coming to the top of the mat. So we're going to come into warrior two. So I think the best way for us to do this is place your hands on your hips, and we are going to take a big step back with the right foot. So step your right foot back. The right foot is going to be parallel with the back edge of your mat. And the heel of your left foot should align with the back arch, or sorry, just the arch, not the back arch, just the arch of your right foot. Just to adjust your stance till it feels like you're in a good position for you. And remember to keep your left ankle a little bit ahead of your left knee so your knee isn't jutting out over your ankle. Inhale the left arm straight forward. Exhale, right arm back. Sink into the front leg. So sinking down into the left thigh. See if you can get that left thigh parallel toward the ground. Actively push down in your big toe. Squeeze that left knee out toward the left. Try not to let it collapse in. Abdomen is engaged here. This is warrior two. You're a strong warrior. If you like, you can add in the archer arms. So inhale, right arm comes forward. Exhale, draw it back. Inhale, forward. Exhale, draw it back. You can follow your hand with your head if you like, but not necessary. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. One more time. Inhale, forward. Exhale, draw it back. We're going to bring the right hand down to the right thigh. Bring the left arm up overhead, and maybe you can look up toward the ceiling, coming into revolved warrior. Feel the left side of your ribs opening up. Stay for one more breath. And then coming back to warrior two. We're going to rise up from the left leg. So you're straightening out your left leg, but not walking it straight. Just straighten it out a little bit. With your left hand, reach as far forward as you can before revolving your left hand down. It could come to your shin, it could come to your thigh, could come to the foot, or even down to the floor. Right arm is up overhead. Keep the palm turned open so that your shoulder has lots of mobility. Coming into our triangle. Make sure you've left a gentle bend in your knee. It's a big, intense pose. Breathe deep. If you wanted to challenge yourself, you could look up toward your hand. One more big breath. And exhale. Put a big, generous bend into your left leg. Bring your right hand down to the mat. Turn onto the right toes. And then bring that right knee down to the mat. If you want a little bit of cushioning, you could fold your mat over and then set your right knee down. So we're just going to come into a little lizard pose. If you know you'd like the assistance of a block, grab your block, bring it to the right beside the instep of your left foot. Bring both hands onto your left thigh and bring your torso upright over your thigh. Good. I see people propping up. That's good. Make sure that your left ankle is ahead of your left knee so that you have room to go forward and down. If it's not, just wiggle that left ankle out a little bit further. Inhale, think about getting tall. Exhale, sink the hips forward and down. You could bring your hands down onto the block. Just remember to bring your left arm around to the inside of your left knee. Doesn't work so well if that arm is on the outside. Allow gravity to help you encourage your hips down toward the earth, opening them up. But don't be too overzealous on this one. I was a little overzealous on this one last week, and I'm still feeling it today. So don't be like me. On your next exhale, back your hips out halfway, and then inhale, sink them back down. Just for a couple more breaths. Sometimes coming halfway out allows us to actually come a little deeper into the pose. Slow down your breath. Smooth it out. And on your next exhale, you can back your hips off, bring your left knee back beside your right. You can set your block off to the side so that you'll have it later, and choose your version of downward facing dog. So it could be the kneeling version, or you can come up to downward facing dog, stay for one breath, and then no matter where you are, come onto your feet and roll up to stand at the top of your mat again. So we're all meeting up at the top of our mat. So again, just checking our posture. Feet are narrow, hip width apart, abdomen's engaged. Bring the hands to the hips. This time we're going to take a giant step back with the left foot. So the left foot will be parallel with the back edge of the mat. The right heel will align with the left arch, so they're in one line. Right arm comes forward, left arm comes back. Sink into that right knee. If you find that your knee's jutting out over your ankle, wiggle that ankle forward just a little bit. Coming into our warrior two. Lunge low, press into the right big toe, press your knee out toward the right. Don't let it collapse in. We'll add in our archer arm if you like. Inhale, forward. Exhale, draw it back. Inhale, draw it forward. Exhale, draw it back. Optional to follow your hand with your head. Inhale it forward. Exhale it back. One more time. Inhale forward. Exhale, draw it back. Keep lunging into that right leg. Bring your left hand down to your left thigh. Turn your right palm up. Scoop the air. Right arm comes up. Maybe your head looks up toward the ceiling, coming into revolved warrior. Stay for one more breath. And then come back into warrior two. Stay there for one more breath. And then rise up in the right knee. So you're straightening the leg, but not locking it straight. And then reach as far forward as you can with your right hand. And then you can rotate that right hand down. Could come down to the thigh, the shin, the ankle, the floor. Leave generous bend in that knee. Left arm is straight up overhead. Palm is open, allowing some room in the shoulder joint. If you like, you could challenge yourself to look up toward your hand, but not necessary. Keep that breath flowing. And on your next exhale, bend deeply into the right leg. Bring both hands down to the mat. Turn onto the left toes. If you like extra cushioning, turn the left side of your mat under before you bring your knee down. So bring the left knee down, uncurl the toes. If you want your block, grab it, place it right by the instep of your right foot. Bring both hands onto your right thigh and bringing the torso upright. Again, make sure that your right ankle is tracking well ahead of your right knee so that you have room to go forward and down. So if you need to sneak it out a little bit, do that. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, sinking forward and down. You can stay exactly like this with the hands on the thigh. Or if you like, you can bring your hands down to the ground or on your block. Just make sure that the right arm comes on the inside of your right leg. Breathe deep. Let gravity and time do their work. On your next exhale, back your hips out halfway. Take a breath. And then sink them back forward and down, seeing if maybe you can come into a slightly deeper expression of the posture. And on your next exhale, you can come out of it. So bring the hips back, hands can come to the mat, right knee comes back by the left. You can set your block off to the side, and we'll just take a moment to take a little rest. So two versions of child's pose here. One, you could open your knees wider and bring your hips back on your heels, or if you prefer, you could zip those knees together, bring the hips back on the heels, arms go out long in front of you, and forehead comes down to the mat. Just taking a few breaths, checking in with how the body's feeling. Seeing if you can slow the breath down, smooth it out. And we're going to come up to stand again on our mat. So come up onto your feet in a way that makes sense for you. Now we'll be coming into tree pose. So if you know you like the assistance of a piece of furniture or the wall, you can go there now. Also, just keep your block handy for after when we come down into squat. So setting up, as always, feet are narrow hip width distance, abdomen is engaged, bum squeezed in, shoulders are down away from your ears. We'll start by balancing on the right leg. So before you go anywhere, train your gaze on a non-moving point a couple of meters ahead of you, and just let your gaze rest there. We're just going to zone out on that spot. Hands can come to your hips. Transfer your weight over your right foot, and then gently inhale the left leg up. Exhale it out to the side. You could plant it on the shin or the ankle or even toes down. Hands can come to heart center. Keep the abdomen engaged so your bum is squeezing in, your abs are nice and rock hard. Deep inhales. And if you like, you can grow your tree. See what kind of tree you're growing this week. Exhale, hands can come through heart center, gently down to the hips. Inhale the left leg up and set it down slowly with control. Excellent. Shake out the standing leg, get the circulation going again. And then coming back to our nice mountain pose with hands on hips. Train your gaze on that non-moving point. Transfer your weight over your left foot. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale it out to the side. So plant your foot against your shin or ankle or toes down on the mat, but just actively push the foot, the standing leg and the foot against each other. Makes a stronger base. Engage the glutes, the abdomen. Hands can come to heart center. And then you can try growing your tree. See what kind of tree you have on this side. If your tree is swaying in the breeze, as mine is, no worries. That's perfectly fine. You can wiggle, sway. If you fall out, just get back in again. And hands can come back through heart center, gently down to the hips. Inhale that right leg up and exhale, set it down with control. Good. Shake the standing leg out. So we're going to come into our squat. If you'd like to come into it from standing, feet are wider than hip width apart, toes are pointing out on a 45-degree angle. If you know you prefer to come into sitting, you could have your block ready to come down onto, or you could come down onto your block ahead of time, or even come all the way down onto your seat ahead of time. No matter where you're starting, we're all going to end up in the same place. So hands can come to heart center. Sink your hips down toward the earth. If you're sitting, make sure that your feet are also wider than hip width apart and the toes are pointing out on a 45-degree angle. If you're coming in from standing, take a little wiggle. And then no matter where we are, settle in. So you could be supporting yourself or on your bum. Knees come out quite open wide. Backs of the arms can come to the insides of the knees to encourage them to open. Hands can come to heart center. If that's not working for you, you could just use your hands to gently encourage the hips open. You're not really pulling, you're just using your the weight of your hands, a little bit of traction. No matter where you end up, try and focus in on your breath. Slow it down. We're going to stay here for 10 breaths to allow time and gravity to help us. Three more breaths. And you can release. So if you're anywhere but on your bottom, you can come down there now. If you're on your block, come off it and set that aside. Plant your feet on the mat in front of you. You can bring your knees together, sitting up nice and straight, and then folding your torso forward onto your legs. Maybe you wrap your legs underneath. Let your forehead relax down. So maybe your head is even coming down towards your knees. No matter what it is, your head's just totally relaxed, coming into this restorative forward fold. If you're happy right there, just stay exactly as you are. If you'd like to challenge yourself a little bit, You could lengthen your legs out, toes peeling back toward you, and then come into your forward fold again. Maybe noticing how this forward fold feels different than the one we did earlier in class. And then coming upright. We'll leave our left leg long on the mat. We're going to take a hold of the right knee with the right hand and the left ankle with the left hand. So you're going to hold your shin like it's a log, and then you're going to move the shin in a circular motion with the help of your hands. And you're getting into that hip joint. It's like you're churning butter. You're churning in one direction. And then when you're feeling good, reverse that motion and go in the opposite direction. Just try and make the big movements nice and big and slow. And you can release the right leg down. This time take a hold of the left hand with the left knee, right hand on the right ankle. Again, holding it like a log. And then taking nice big circles with that leg, working into the hip joint. Churn that butter. And reverse your motion. And you can release. We're going to come on to our bat on the mat. If you know that you would like to do bridge with the assistance of a block, you can do that. So just have that block ready by you. So if you're not already lengthwise on your mat, then get lengthwise on your mat. Plant your feet narrow hip width apart. Hands can just rest on your knees for a moment. Take an inhale. Lower yourself back onto the mat as slowly as you can. And once you're down, so the feet are firmly planted on the mat right below your hips. Hands are planted on the mat right beside your hips. Head is looking straight up at the ceiling. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push the hips up to the sky. Push your shoulders, elbows, hands, and feet down into the mat. The harder you push down, the higher your hips can go. Keep the breath moving. One more big breath. Exhale, you can release your hips down and windshield wiper your knees gently back and forth, nice and slow. So your option is on the second round of bridge, you can come in to a supported bridge, or if you don't have the support or you would rather go for more active, we'll do 2 more active rounds of bridge. So no matter which route you're going to take, hands are down by your hips, feet are firmly pressed into the mat. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push your hips up. If you want to support yourself, slip that block under your lower back. So not under your bum, but a little higher, and then settle your lower back onto the block for supported bridge. If you're active, just keep pushing those hips skyward. If you're an active bridge, lower your hips down. If you're supported, stay exactly where you are. Active bridge people, just windshield wiper the knees a few times. And then you're not already in bridge, we'll set up for the last one. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push the hips skyward. Option, if you're in active bridge, you could roll your shoulders underneath, clasp your hands behind your back, and then use those hands to push into the ground and push your hips a little bit higher. Strong arms, strong feet, everything pushing down. If you're in supported bridge, push your hands and feet down, lift your hips again, remove the block from under your hips, and then everybody bring their hips back down to the earth and windshield wiper. We're going to come into pigeon, but it'll be a fairly short pigeon this week. So you're going to cross your right ankle over your left knee, and your right knee is out to the side. So it's like you're making the figure 4 with your legs. With your right hand, you can encourage that right knee out to the side. And if that's feeling like plenty of hip opening action right there, stay exactly as you are. If you'd like to deepen it, you could reach around behind the left thigh, draw the left thigh toward your chest. You could also do this with the help of a strap. So you can put a strap around the left thigh and then hug the left thigh in toward your torso. The left leg and toes can really relax. The right toes need to be actively peeling back toward your right knee. Encourage that right knee out, open. Imagine that you've got lungs in your hips and you're breathing right into that right hip joint. One more breath. And release. So if you had your thigh hugged in, left foot comes down, right leg uncrosses. You can windshield wiper your knees and just loosen those hip joints a little. And then we'll set up for the other side. So left leg crosses over, the left ankle crosses over just below the right knee. Your legs make a figure 4. If this is feeling like plenty of opening, just leave it there. You could use your left hand to encourage that left knee outward. If you'd like to go a little deeper, you could bring a strap around your right thigh or intertwine your hands around your right thigh. Hug that right thigh in toward your chest. Keep pushing the left knee out. Left toes, very important. Left toes are actively peeling back toward the left knee. Keep that foot active to protect the knee. The right foot and lower right leg can just go limp. It doesn't have any work to do here. One more breath. And if you had a hold of your thigh, release it. Bring both feet back down to the mat. Gently windshield wiper the legs back and forth. And then bring the knees upward. We'll bring our arms out into a T shape. Cross your right leg over your left. No gap between your thighs. Ever so slightly, nudge your hips over to the right and then sink your knees over to the left. Coming into a supine twist. Make sure both of your shoulders stay firmly plugged into the mat. Do not let that right shoulder lift up. If that's feeling good, you want to explore going a little deeper. You could use your left hand on the right knee, just deepening the twist with those legs. Or you could choose to turn your head and look over your right shoulder. If your head is anywhere but center, bring it back to center. Bring the knees back upright, uncross the legs, bring your hips back to center again. This time, left leg crosses over the right with no gap between the thigh. Ever so slightly, shuffle the hips to the left, lower the knees to the right. Make sure that left shoulder blade especially stays down on your mat. If it's rolling up, then come out of your twist a little. If you want to deepen it, you could explore bringing your right hand onto your left knee, or you could turn your head and look over your left shoulder. And if your head is turned, gently bring it back upright. Knees come upright, uncross them. And then we're going to hug the knees in toward our torso. Draw the right knee toward the right armpit, left knee toward the left armpit. Hug your head up, encourage it toward your knees, so hugging into a tiny little ball. And then you relax your head down, but keep a hold of your knees. You can stay exactly like this if you like and just rock on the lower back. Or you could reach your arms through the insides of your knees, take a hold of the outsides of your feet, coming into happy baby. So drawing those feet up toward the ceiling. And again, just getting a nice massage for the sacrum here. If there are any other movements you'd like to take at this time, maybe there's an asana you'd like, maybe you just like to take a big stretch, go ahead and do that now. We're going to prepare to come into Shavasana, so if you'd like a blanket or some socks, got a drink of water, whatever you need, attend to those needs right now. And then when you're ready, lying down on your mat, spread out, take up room. You might want to come into a restorative pose, so you can plant your feet on the mat wider than hip width apart. Allow the knees to relax in toward each other. Your hand could be over your heart, your left hand over your heart, your right hand on your belly, or your arms could be out to the side. Push the shoulder blades down away from the ears. And take a few really big, deep breaths. Sigh it out, just like we did at the beginning of class. Let everything go. Let the effort from your practice go. Let the Ujjayi breath go. Let all of your effort go. Just release. And allow your gaze to soften. Close your eyes. Check in with your jaw. Notice if your teeth are gritted, and if they are, separate the biting surfaces of your teeth. You could even open and close your mouth a few times. Wherever your limbs are, they're nice and relaxed. There's no effort. Your belly is soft. Your breathing is soft. And we'll just stay in a few moments of silence. If you find your thoughts begin to wander and to take you off your mat, just gently encourage your mind to come back by focusing in on your breath. Allow yourself to slip into a deep relaxation, and I'll let you know when it's time to go. You can begin to bring your awareness back to your body and where you are in space and time. Again, you might like to take a few deep breaths, maybe even a yawn. Take small motion with your body, wiggling fingers and toes, perhaps stretching out. And when you're feeling ready, gently roll over onto your right side and bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And once you come up, you can just close your eyes and lower your chin. Bring your hands to heart center. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. It's by Bruce Lee. Thank you for joining me for practice today. Namaste. All right, so I'll end our recording.